I am at WestVet because my boss's 9-year-old Jack Russell, Henry, who has been suffering from a really terrible intestinal disease, began to throw blood clots, or a blood clot, when he was at his home in Sun Valley. They drove him through a snowstorm. The highway was closed, and the mountain highway was closed, and they were rerouted, and I think it probably took them almost 4 hours to get him here.
Henry came in breathing really hard, and the interesting thing about that is that his chest x-rays were not dramatically abnormal. In other words, he didn't have a clear case of pneumonia. He wasn't in congestive heart failure. And so we strongly suspected he had thrown blood clots.
He had tubes in his nose, and we would take him, he'd see us and he'd get all excited, and then we would take him out of his kennel, and sometimes on the Friday they would take the tube out and you couldn't walk him from the kennel to the door. He would turn blue.
He had blood clots because his underlying medical issue is inflammatory bowel disease. Inflammatory bowel disease means that the wall of the stomach and intestines are getting filled with white blood cells. So similar to if you cut your hand, you will get swelling there and redness, and you get a little bit of pus, and usually then it goes away and you heal. If that same sort of process is going on throughout the whole wall of your intestine, you're not going to be able to process food normally. Henry lost so much protein through his gut that he didn't have the kind of protein that helps control the clotting and bleeding cascade in our body.
He was very critical, but at one point, 2 days later, after he'd been off the ventilator, I was looking at him and he looked fantastic, and I was thinking, yes, he's going to make it. But unfortunately, he started to cough, and they were concerned about his chest, so they took him into the radiograph, and they did a radiograph of his chest, and they found it to be in quite critical condition. He was pretty much gone almost. I just thought, I'm going to let him try to get through the night, and if he passes, then he'll be here with people who love him and are taking good care of him, and if not, then we'll see what happens. So I came back at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. I called every 2 hours all Thursday night, and he was still critical. And I showed up on Friday morning, and he was up and shaking his head and breathing, not on his own, but he was actually able to sit up, still with oxygen and everything, and he never looked back. This is a world-class facility. He has just had treatment here that is, I've never seen, anywhere else, in the sense of commitment and attention. I've never seen a staff at any clinic ever just fall in love with a dog, and he every time somebody looks at him, he's upside down with his feet in the air and rub my tummy, and even the surgeons walk by and they're in there rubbing his tummy, and I've just seen an incredibly like a world-class group of people working together as a team.